In most guises, the Z3 is a fairly forgotten distant relative in the BMW family. It was always a cool looking retro roadster, but being the first BMW to be solely manufactured outside Germany, its US build quality wasn't quite what you'd expect from Munich. And what it offered in style didn't quite match in performance. Sure, the 6-cylinder models weren't exactly slow for their time, but with a fairly flexy chassis, it was more stylish cruiser than ultimate driving machine. That is, until the M division got involved. Parts were donated from the M3, and to prove how serious they were about chassis rigidity, a whole new body style was introduced, all in the name of stiffness. The resulting Z3M Coupe is what you might call a Marmite car, but it's rare, it's cool, values have taken off, and thanks to our friends at Car Iconics, we're going to find out how it drives. My mum actually had a Z3 when I was a kid, 1.9 litre, not quite like this. But as an 8-year-old, that was a cool car. Even back then though, I just remember how flexy it felt with the roof down. And even with a pretty substantial chassis overhaul, the M Roadster suffered in the same way. And that is where the M Coupe comes in. It was the M Division's solution to give the Z3 a lot more structural rigidity so it could finally cope with that proper engine that's under the bonnet. Early American cars had the S52 engine with a measly 240 brake horsepower, but over here this UK car has the S50 from the E36 M3 with 316 horsepower. That's more like it. It has an old school 5-speed manual and nothing else, to be honest. There's no traction control, no stability control. You've got ABS, but mostly you're on your own. Now, it does feel pretty 90s in a few senses in that there isn't really that much noise from the engine, and it is all engine noise, not exhaust. But it has that familiar metallic rasp you got from the M3s of the time, and there's just nothing fake about it. And it does sound good when you get it up at the top. Revs all the way to 7.5 and the gears are really long. So it does take some winding out. Another thing that is a little 90s though, the steering. It's not hyper alert like some of the modern sports cars. It takes quite a lot of input. The throttle pedal is the original cable and it's really heavy. It's got a lot of weight to it. And Dan from Car Iconics actually warned me that this can be quite a snappy little thing. On old tyres, next to no weight, quite a lot of power and a pretty short wheelbase as well. And that throttle actually helps you modulate the power. You've got to really want to go quick. You can't accidentally floor it and end up in a hedge. The thing that's surprising is it's actually quite soft. When you floor it in second, the front end just lifts in the air. But what that does mean is it takes the bumps of an English B road really well. Now, another thing with the power from the E36 M3, it's also got the brakes from the E36 M3. And being lighter than that car, they really stop it well. Brakes have always been a bit of a weak point on M cars, but these feel absolutely fine to me. Yeah, the more and more I drive this, the more I'm warming to it. At first, I was a little tentative in it. It's quite damp out, there's no traction control. But once you get into a rhythm with it, it's just refreshingly basic. You can get into a nice flow. And everything you do, it's all you. It flows, it's not skittish along the road, but it keeps you on your toes in the sense that you know it won't take any prisoners if you overcook it a bit. But the power band helps with that because you really do have to have it up at the top to really get moving. What a cool little thing. I just love the size of these cars as well. I've always been the same with the likes of the 1M, the M2, Cayman. I just love small cars that you can thread down a country road. Where you're not thinking, oh my god, that car coming the other way. You're not scared of cars like this. You just get in them and you drive them. you really do get used to that slower steering rack as well. It just means you have to put decent inputs in, just like you have to put a decent input into the throttle, just like you have to put a decent input into the gearbox. You're involved in driving it. That's what it's all about. I didn't quite know what to expect coming into this one. Performance cars from 20 years ago can often feel a bit sluggish and out of their depth when used to modern machinery. And whilst I'm sure a Golf R would teach it a thing or two on a twisty road, the Z3M is still a quick car, and it's rewarding with it. You have to work the engine hard, match the revs on downshift yourself, and remember there's no safety net if you get a bit too eager. It feels small and light too, and there's something quite cool about having the nose lifting under acceleration, isn't there? It's what I'd call a momentum car, where you learn to be smooth and carry your speed, and it's a refreshingly back to basics experience. Inside, it's the same story. It's basic and it's showing its age, but the deliberately retro styling means it sort of gets away with it, and the seats are fantastic for a car of its time too. This particular car's covered just 25,000 miles in over 20 years since it was new, and the lovely two-tone red and black leather looks almost new. It's for sale at Car Iconics for a fiver under 40 grand, but even at the money they're fetching now, they seem like a safe bet as an almost guaranteed future classic. And the most important part for us, it's an investment you'll most certainly enjoy driving.